Two, one, go. Hi, Eva. How are you?
Hi, Alberto. Doing good. How are you doing?
Good, good, good. I'm very excited today because we will have a chance
won
to
Euro
talk.
Cup. I know why you're excited, because you won
The Euro Cup. I'm not a soccer fan. Go Italy, Forza Italia. Yes, yes, yes. But no, that's it. That was the other day. Okay, so we're over with that now. No more soccer, no more fans, no more things. Sorry, guys. I mean, but the Euro Cup went Rome and not home. But as everything goes, I really wonder what happened in China these days. What about we let our guest join, okay? Because today
Yay.
we have Ashely Dudarenok. You know, here she is. Come on, let's go. Ashely, how are you?
Good, good. How are you guys? Awesome to see you here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. It's been a great time. I mean, I have seen a lot of things coming up during the last few days, and I wonder how these things will influence with China. And what I'm talking about is the Italian popularity. You know, we won the Euro Song Contest with a group called Maneskin, and the great things about them is not only the music, but the fact that they speak really good English, and so they were able to go on stage with everybody and speak and have interviews and everything. And then we got the second title at the Wimbledon, okay, with Matteo, that was incredible in the match, and then the soccer game, and this popularity about Italy, about the Azzurri and the whole things. You know, how do you think this will influence in terms of marketing prospect for the Chinese market?
Well, in general, it's good. Country branding works for China. So if your country is considered, for example, a country with great footballers, and China has huge aspirations there, so probably some of the professionals that are working in, less successful leagues or some of the trainers and coaches have career potential in China. At the same time, of course, if we, for example, right now have some news about, I do not know, animals and birds and something else coming back to Europe because people are traveling less, because the environment is being restored. So if you're selling some food products or cosmetic products, something in body, on body that goes out in China, that of course will also be positively affected. So in general, country branding works really, really well in China, where people need to connect the country of origin with the product and whether it makes sense for them. I'll give you an example. Like Italy is famous for cars, for instance, right? But if tomorrow Italy would say, you know what, I want to introduce a vodka, hard liquor into the China market, and it will be branded Italian vodka. Well, it worked with French. I still do not know why, but vodka from Italy in the mind of many Chinese consumers would be like, wait, something went wrong. But with French, it worked. But natural kind of tendency would be go for Russian vodka, right? Because it's where it's originated, and they think that products from that particular part of the world are good in these categories.
Excellent. So let's say this. We just started immediately talking about marketing. This is a great thing. Thank you very much, Ashely. I just want to say one thing. This is going to be an interactive talks. We do have a Miro boards where we can share thoughts, ideas, questions. In the link, I already share it on the chats of Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn channels where we're streaming live right now. Okay, Eva will accompany us throughout the journey, and she will help us with the interaction on the Miro board. Eva, she's a facilitator for companies doing interactive alignments within the company. So her support during this event is always very, very important to us. I know you and Eva met once already, right? In Hong Kong.
Yes, we have.
I think I have a picture somewhere of you two together. So that's.
It was a very brief meeting, but we met.
And it was a very long time ago. I just know that in the past 1.5 years, it's been really difficult to leave this part of the world. So
no, don't worry.
we might have met, but in a previous life before the lockdown.
Excellent. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Eva. I'll get back to you right after. Okay. Now, I would like to ask you one thing. Ashely, you and I know each other for quite some time now. You know, we know personally. We met with families. We had some good time together. We met in Shanghai, Hong Kong, in Czech Republic, in London. We met many places around the world. Okay, and what accompanied us throughout our trips and our meetings, okay, it was always China. We were talking about China. I was coming to listen to you, and I was going to meet people for my China business, and by accident, we were at the same time in the same place, and we spent great time together. I have learned a lot from you. I have to say it clearly loud, okay, that you have been one of my China mentors. And this is, you know, this is so important to underline, because having a mentor is very important for each of us. You know, I have, obviously, I was in China when you were born, basically, more or less, okay, because that's the difference.
I'm not 17, Alberto, you know that. But
you were 17 when you moved to China, but I was in China, you know, 10, 12 years, 15 years before that, okay, so we were just born, and my experience with China grew with China. And by the time I was living in China, things were changing so fast that being in China, I could not realize how things were going on, you know, and how things were changing and what impact they would have had on the market, on the local market, and on the worldwide market. This has been something that I realize every time I get out of China. You know, I was going back to Europe or to America, visiting clients, doing other things, other jobs, other enterprises to open, to launch, and then going back to China few weeks, few months, or sometimes, no, never been a year, maximum 6 months, okay? And then I saw China so different. And then it was kind of unrecognizable. And I had always to readapt myself, readjust my user habits, readjust my whole situation and everything. So I became a very interested China watcher. You know, I wasn't doing much in China itself but I was very much interested, involved in the process of development. When did you become a China watcher, Ashely?
So when I was 17 years old, I moved to China, and that was a big shift from where I come from. I come from the Russian Far East, which is actually very close to China. But then I was studying abroad. I was studying in New Zealand, in England, and traveled the world. And coming into mainland, for me, that was the time where I realized that life is probably never going to be the same again. A lot of China watchers back then went into the market because they were fascinated with the cultural aspect, with the food aspect, with Kung Fu and whatever else. For me, you follow money or follow heart. I followed the heart. And I came with a boyfriend of mine. So this was the reason to move to the mainland. And for me, it was really realizing, I think, how fast China is leapfrogging, and also to see what a strong culture this is. 5,000 years is not a joke. These people were building the country from ground up. And I didn't go to a sexy city. As you know my story, I went to Chongqing. So I literally saw the bang bang man with bamboo sticks running around carrying groceries. So it was probably like Shanghai in the in the 80s or 90s. That was Chongqing in 2005, 2006, in many aspects. Of course, not in every aspect. So China watcher I became back then. When it comes to China watcher for professional, for business purposes, I would say right after graduation from university, because I went to university in China. I studied business and economics, and I, unlike many others, and I have a lot of respect for people that studied, sinology and studied Chinese history and language and culture. So I want to also make a huge disclaimer here. I'm not a sinologist. I have not spent time learning the culture, learning the language in depth. What I studied in China was business and economics, together with Chinese people in Chinese language. I studied linear algebra and things like that. When I essentially graduated from university and started my professional career, that's when I realized, that's when I already knew that professionally, the future is here in this part of the world, because it's developing so fast, because it is so completely different, because there's so many bridges that are still to be built with the rest of the world. And the fact that China is building something that is grander than itself, that is going to have impact on Southeast Asia, on the Russian-speaking world, on Latin America, on Africa, and many, many other parts. So that's when the journey started for me. And as you said, Alberto, it's not always easy, especially if you move away from mainland China, even being in mainland China physically. The Chongqing reality is very different from the reality in Shanghai or in Chengdu or in the middle of Guilin province. So it's very difficult to stay connected with what's really going on. And for best people that I know that really, really know what's going on, they travel all the time. They travel, they shoot videos, they speak with people, they really make it their mission to be constantly involved in so many different facets of life and what is China collectively. So for me, I do that right now, being on a semi-lockdown here in Hong Kong. I would say, of course, I've got a team in Shenzhen, I've got a team in Hong Kong that is mainland Chinese only. So I do it by daily discipline. Unfortunately, we cannot cross the border and go, and you get disconnected so quickly within a day. So I started virtually, and I'm not kidding, 40 minutes to 60 minutes a day to be on the phone with my Shenzhen team. When they walk me through the streets where we talk about trends, we just chit chat. Because if I'm not there, at least this is the second best thing, to be really curious and to force yourself to be on top of it, because this is my job. I'm doing thought leadership, I'm representing China to the world, and I must get as much as possible on the ground inside.
Absolutely. This is exactly what I'm doing. I keep on being on the phone with my Chinese colleagues and with my Chinese contacts and friends, and share with them everything that is to be shared. And sometimes, I make silly questions. Maybe for them it's silly, because when you live on a daily base, you don't realize how things get a cut in a different shape. And this is very important. But let me tell you about my experience. When I went to China by the end of the 80s, okay, obviously my idea was very innovative, okay, and I became the only Western representative running a trading company to support Western companies to buy directly from Chinese manufacturer without falling in the trap of a fake traders, okay, and it was a very sensitive case at that time, and it was very, very easy to get into this traps, to get caught into these traps. And obviously I was very lucky, because being there alone, I didn't have much competition, and so either they had a direct link with the suppliers, otherwise they had to contact me. And I was buying thousands and thousands of products, different items, mainly in IT, and it was very interesting and very beautiful to do this. But nobody was interested about China itself. It was all about products and price. It was all about product, price, and delivery. Product, price, and delivery. And so I became an expert in directing the clients, in choosing the right products, paying the right price, and getting the best logistic informations and delivery. This is what I've done for most of my young life. Okay, so I was, yes, an expert about China, but not the Chinese culture and the mindset. Also, there was a problem. I was in the province of Taiwan, and Taiwan at that time was much advanced in terms of technological and connections and factory and innovation stuff compared to mainland, because mainland just opened the free trade zone in Shenzhen to develop new things, and Hong Kong at that time was just a place for toys. Okay, and mainly low tech products, high manufacturing products, but very low tech. And so, since I love technology, I was more into the dealing on a daily basis with the Chinese manufacturers from Taiwan. Okay, say this. I also learned a different kind of China. There was an attitude which was sometimes, difficult to understand, because to me, China has been always greater China. Okay, but living in Taiwan, there were some kind of privilege, and living and living also in Hong Kong at that time. I remember Hong Kong was very weird. I mean, if I needed a plumber, it wasn't a Chinese coming to plumb my home. Okay, it was a British guy. Okay, police on the street were all British, and everything was just Brits. I mean, I had to go to new territories to find only pure Chinese people, and it was very rural at the same time, and so it was such a contrast somehow. I had to go through Lohu borders and cross the street and get at the train station in Shenzhen to feel the real China, to feel the chaos, the people calling you and say, yeah, come here, I take you everywhere you want. And I say, I don't even know where I want to go. Where do you want to take me? Anywhere is okay. Just give me an address, I'll take you there. And there were no roads, no signs, no maps, nothing. All the factories were just somewhere in the middle of nowhere within Shenzhen and Guangzhou, mainly in Dongguan area. But even Dongguan was not identified, not as a city and not as a territory. It was an amazing experience to live those days. So I really had to, pack my stuff, fly over to Hong Kong, take the train, cross the border, and manage to get to the point. This kind of experience, was also very difficult to tell. And when I didn't know that was accumulating, something that I could pay back people when I meet, because my job was to get things done for them and make it easy. So when it came up that China got a predominant position in terms of marketing, sales, and the market start to buy, I had somehow difficulties in telling the story about it. And that's when I met you. That was 5-6 years ago. That's when we first encountered, and I found your way to tell stories about China so real, so true, and so easy to understand. And that's when I said, this is something that I could say, add in my part of a story. Remember, we had this discussion before. So thank you again, Ashely, because since then, I started to be a better storyteller on the China adventures and the experiences that is behind it, And in the meantime, I accumulated many more, activities in China, from production to designing, to marketing, to distributing in China products and so on. So it was thanks to you. But really, beside these people, today that you cannot go to China no more unless you do your 2+1 week of quarantine, if you get a visa. what is it that you really miss? Do you miss the atmosphere, or you miss the thrilling on being on the road and checking out and be amazed by the new things?
For me, up until 18 months ago, going to mainland was very straightforward. So I didn't have to go through the troubles you had to go a couple of years back, 30 years ago, roads without destinations. It's basically 17 minutes speed train from Hong Kong into Shenzhen. Our office is right in Shenzhen, and then it's boom, you're there. And then, of course, flying into Shanghai is very quick. Actually, sometimes I would fly in the morning and come back in the evening, so that I would have dinner virtually in Hong Kong and breakfast I could have on the plane on the way to Shanghai. So it was, to be honest, a little bit like commuting from kind of greater London into London city center. It wasn't a big deal. And right now, for the past 18 months, to be kind of isolated from this a little bit, it just became more effortful to get all this information, to get the insights, to see it, to feel it, etc. So it does become a bit more effortful. But ultimately, I do miss seeing, the people. I think the people I miss most. I do miss traveling. I do miss my tea. You see that I'm sipping on tea. My favorite tea is Tieguanin. Here I'm afraid to spill, but Tieguanin. So I now have to order it. Finally, the borders are open. So, but I really like to go to plantations and get, proper tea, because it's not really green and it's not really pu'er. So there's this roasted tea in China and there's green tea in China, right? So the Tieguanin is the one that's kind of in the middle. So there's a lot of variations. You need to be very picky when you pick the good one. So I love doing all that. I, of course, love seeing the people, seeing the friends, seeing my team, being connected there. Also our industry insiders, just spending time with them. At the same time, I love my tea. I love my travels. I traveled across China. I've seen many, many, many places. And very often that provides you additional insight into, let's say, lower tier cities, or how elderly live, or how young children think. Because on those travels, you meet different people and you have time to really converse with them, etc. So I miss all of that. And of course, I do miss good food, good Chinese food. And of course, Hong Kong has, Chinese food, but it's all kind of southern Chinese food mostly. And northern Chinese food here is, to be honest, not great. I love northern Chinese food, and there are a few restaurants where I can go here, but I just miss the diversity where you bum and in Wine Street, somewhere in Hangzhou, or in Shenzhen, and you see like 4 or 5 restaurants of Hangzhou food, and then Chongqing food, and then you can get Yangzhou Tang, and you can get your Tudou and you can get this, Xinjiang nice chuar. It's all in one street. So of course I miss that as well.
Yeah, good. Yeah, you know what I miss most? I miss my chat with the taxi drivers. I usually get on a taxi, and I get into a chat immediately, because of course I can speak Chinese, so I just tell them straight where I need to go. But now with the apps, you don't need to tell them anything, because they already have the address, and maybe I give them a better direction to get there if I know the road. Okay, but then they go like, oh yeah, wow, your Chinese is so good. 你说中文非常好. I say, yeah, thank you very much. I've been living here for some time. And I go like, how long? And it goes like 1 year. No. It's impossible. And then that's how I start to joke, because, I always try to keep a low profiles and ask them a lot of questions. And one thing that changes so much, when in the beginning they were asking me, where are you from? And I was saying, Italy, 我说是意大利人. They were like, oh, 你是美国人啊? You're from America. I said, no, I'm not from America. I'm from Italy. Okay, yeah. Okay, but you speak English. You speak English. And I said, no, I don't speak English in my country. We speak our own language. So there was this culture divide. There was this, me coming from an alien place that they couldn't identify, just because it was not the make-world. It was not the beautiful country, America. So today instead, a few years ago, I started in the mid of 2000, I started that anytime I said I'm coming from Italy, they go, oh, good, AC Milan, it was like, yes, the football, the soccer teams, were very famous, and they got a very, very big fame within the country. Today, when I go to Italy, yes, of course, there are certain brands that are very famous, like Ferrari, you mentioned it before, and many others that people are really a bit confused. You know, they don't really know if Gucci is from Italy, if Prada is from Italy. But if you think about it, maybe not even us Italians know it very well, because both Gucci and Prada, you know, they're now bought by big multinational companies. Most of them are even French, so we don't want to talk about it. But anyway, and I have a lot of French friends that I love them. What we did in the last few weeks, I was able to get a few people over the screen to talk about China opportunity, and I did that with Michael Norris, our friends that we know him, and he gave us great input about how China can be an opportunity for anybody eventually, but he stressed out that you really need to do your market research very deep before going and face the Chinese market. Then when I met Jin Shu on screen, and Jin is an American Chinese, American-born Chinese who had a cultural crash when he moved to China for his American company, handling a sourcing products from China. He was lost because he felt Chinese before going there, and then he felt so America when he was there, and he was even thought he could speak and manage the language very well. He had this cultural dichotomy, you know, between China and the West. And then I met with Josh Garner, you know, from Kung Fu Data. We had a beautiful talk about the strategy. So how well and how fast we should move, and what kind of strategy we should apply to enter the Chinese market. So we did the opportunity, the mindset, and the strategy planning. Okay. Obviously, one thing that Josh said, and it is very important, and I know that you fully agree with this, is that you need to have a very big and unfair advantage compared to China if you want to enter the Chinese market. The advantage need to be unfair. I mean, you really need to have something unique, uncopyable, and undisputable, and hyper protected, and everything. Otherwise, you are going to lose any sense that you invest in the market. And based on your experience, because today I want to talk about our experience, okay? Based on your experience, and knowing that you are very, very much you pay a lot of attention to what I believe is the data, the numbers. You know, every day I see you reading reports, making statistics, do the analysis, taking out the highlights and the key takeaways, and so on. What would you say about anyone who would like to enter the Chinese market? And let's assume that they didn't have any experience so far. So they're zero. They are known to nobody.
Well, I would say that they really need to estimate whether or not they have, potential in the market. And as you said, you need to have this unfair advantage. And in many instances, this is not so straightforward. What does it mean? Am I ready for the country? You know, what does it mean, unfair advantage? So in China, most of the times, the unfair advantage comes in, do you have really unique product? Very often this is not true. Like, you can have the best cups in the world and you can produce them in in England, these are English cups. But essentially, can it be copied, and can it be copied to a really, really good standard? Likely. But if it, for example, comes from England, people really know that this kind of mud or ceramics can only be done in England, and it's handmade by obviously British people or something like that. That cannot be easily copied. So then you have unique product, and you have kind of defendable position. At the same time, very often, as I said, it's by product category. If your product category is known for New Zealand, like, I don't know, oysters from New Zealand, let's imagine, even though that's not, I think New Zealand is not the biggest manufacturer of oysters, but let's imagine oysters from New Zealand have good reputation, then this is your unique product. Most of the cases, it is though a brand. So once you have a very strong brand, this is your kind of unique selling point and defendable position. And defendable category you can also kind of carve for yourself. In China, I'm sure George has also mentioned that to you because he talks about it all the time, is that in China, The search is branded. So people don't just look for cups. People look for Wedgwood cups. Okay, so they know that they want Wedgwood and the cup is Wedgwood cup. They do not look for phone. I want to buy a phone. They look for iPhone and they know exactly what kind of iPhone they want. So if your category is branded, which means people know what kind of skincare they want to use, right? Your product also needs to have a strong brand in order to have opportunity to be discovered. You're not, people just not going to stumble across you, and you cannot be competing in these general keywords and just think to be discovered. So essentially, to your question, if the brand is new to China and is just trying to enter, I think it's very important to go through a few steps. First of all, understand whether you are really ready for the country. And actually, Tmall global guidelines are, if you're entering the market, do you have 30 million US dollars in yearly global sales revenue? And actually, the official guideline says 50 million. 50 million global revenue. Do you have that or not? And 30 million is kind of a reduced take on that. The next thing, is your brand really well known among Chinese consumers? Just ask yourself that question. If nobody has ever heard about you, okay, do you have this unique product? Do you have the brand story that you can tell and convey? Do you have a dependable category, as we mentioned, right? You're just not one off, but what are your USPs? There are a lot of local and international competitors. How are you going to stand out? Do you have this defendable niche? If not, explore it first before getting into the market, because you're going to be beaten up. It's expensive and it's not that straightforward. And are you in it for a long haul? Do you want money quickly? If you think that I'm going to invest in China and in half a year I want to cash out and I want it to be, break even or positive ROI, China is not for you, because this is not going to happen. You are going to lose money in China when investing and building and expanding for about 18 to 24 months. And this is yes, and there are many more, of course. Many invest even more. And there are some surprise cases, and there are, of course, one or two heroes, but we cannot benchmark ourselves against Kim Kardashian launching her lipstick, because first she had to become Kim Kardashian and then launch that lipstick into the market. And of course, she had also a lot of support. So the first step is, as Mike mentioned, do your research, really understand whether there's need for your brand in the market. At the same time, look at number 2, your paperwork. Do you have some of the things covered? You will need people like a law firm. You will need people like, as you said, Josh, TP Partner, the ones that are online distributors. You will need somebody to launch your brand, because brand is all about content. So do you have all those people, or do you have internal team right away from day one in China that does all that? And of course, you may need some other consultants to do all that. Choosing a Chinese name is another very important aspect, because in China, 70 to 80% of search is not happening in English when it comes to international brands like L'Oreal. Nobody's actually looking for L'Oreal. People are looking for the Chinese name, or Coca-Cola. Nobody's searching Coke. People are searching Coca-Cola, etc.
Yeah.
Right. So make sure that your products, your product lines, your brand has a connection to that market, and it's easy to search, and it's also not confused with somebody else. And then it's important to set up the proper sales channels. I think that's also very much underestimated, because somebody, I do not know who started that rumor that you can actually set up a mini program on WeChat and start selling in China on day 2. It's a joke. Yes, you can set up WeChat mini program, for God's sake. You can also sell on Douyin. Yes, but it doesn't mean that you will have enough pool and enough market advertising budget to actually kickstart any sales. People still prefer to purchase online through such platforms as Alibaba, Tmall, Tmall Global or whatever, or Taobao for say, and of course JD. So what makes you think people are going to use your WeChat mini program? Do you give them a unique reason, like for example, exclusive collection or some specific discount? It's just a joke. And a lot of people feel that, okay, it takes me like a few thousand to open WeChat mini program and WeChat account, and let me just do that. Let me try China really, really small and see whether people are going to buy. How are they going to buy? Who is following your account? Do you know how much money advertising on WeChat is actually going to cost? So all these things I think are very, very important for people to really understand. And I understand that I'm blabbing a little bit too much, but I would like to just finish 3 more very quick points. The 5th one is, when you do this launch campaign, it doesn't need to be super huge, like huge event. You take over the city like Hangzhou, you take it over and you fly drones around, but you still need to do some launch event, campaign, blogger, or whatever. You still need to announce that you are right now in the market for your niche audience.
Absolutely.
And of course, the customer service. Customer service is likely going to be handled by your TP, by your Taobao partner, by your online distributor. So you really need to make sure that your global headquarters is ready for that kind of investment, commitment, and also standard. Because in China, it happens instantaneously. You cannot go to China and be kind of very, very hands-off and not participate in the game. It's the name of the game. You pay per play, you deliver great service, and essentially you focus on your brand. And the rest is going to be done by TP partner. And TP partner is only going to sign you up, is only going to take you if they see potential to make money selling your product. Because for them, yes, they work on small retainer, but they make money with volume. So don't be shocked when some TP partners are going to say, sorry, we're not interested, especially the big ones, the really cool ones. And there are thousands of them, so somebody's going to take you up. But the really good ones, because they select somebody with defendable position, with brand, and with some potential in the market that they can see right now. And finally, I think, the final kind of highlight is everybody knows China is complex. I think by now everybody knows that China is expensive. So communicate it to your headquarters, communicate it to decision makers, and do it right. It doesn't make sense to try to do China. It's like you cannot try to pick up a chair. You either pick up a chair or the chair stands on the floor. You cannot try to pick up a chair. So China is exactly like that. You cannot try to go into China. You're either going to China and you are doing it, with all the power, commitment, and focus, or you don't. Just because somewhere in between is definitely not going to work.
Absolutely. I was thinking about one of the questions that I was asked by one of the clients I have. He said, okay, but when are we going to make money? And then I say to him very clearly, we're not going to make money in China for the next 3 to 4 years. Okay, what we're going to do, we're going to feed China. And what we can think about is using the advantage that we get in terms of marketing, communication, technical support, after-sales support, sales strategies, and increase of production capacity that we get toward the development of China market and take the hustle out, for the rest of the world. So China could be the drive for a big growth, not definitely for making money out of China, but to get out, potentials and advantages for the rest of the world, where you are having already your 30 millions at least sales revenue. Okay, so this is very good. I remember we made a video, one of the very first video we made together, where you asked me something like, okay, Alberto, give us the 3 things that anybody should do before entering China. And I answered to you something like, okay, talk about yourself. So let people know who you are, and then talk about what you do. And so let people understand the product and brand. So it's a deep step into your brand awareness. And then let other people talk about who you are and what you do. So basically, whereas always at the same level, you need to do a lot of marketing. You need to invest. You need to let people know who you are and call you by name, call your brand by name, which is the Chinese name on how they will know you. Okay. Also because most of the Westerner names are impronounceables for the Chinese, and searching for a Chinese name is such a difficult job that we will have to go through. Anyway, Ashely, there are a few messages for you. Okay, so there is Abir who says, "Hey Ashely, welcome. Excited to learn about the new marketing insight from you." And then we have got Julia. Julia goes, hello, everybody. Hi, Ashely. Hi, Alberto. Thank you. Julia, looking forward to the sessions together with you. Fantastic. And then we got a LinkedIn user that goes like, awesome, and congratulations for the soccer. Thank you very much. Appreciate. And then there is Rahul. Rahul says, this is important live conference. Thank you, Rahul. I hope you find some good insights to go and develop your China dream. So let's see and call Eva in the stream. Okay. Hello, Eva. So
Hi.
did we had any interaction on the mirror board?
No, not so far interaction. There are people I see moving around the board. What I did, I captured your conversation in a mind map.
Oh, fantastic.
So I can share my screen, and just for a little intro to show people how that actually looks like, we can look into that. So Miro is one of the visual collaboration tools, virtual visual collaboration tools that helps us capture information really quickly, collaboratively, at the same time. So guys, everybody who is on the board here, what you could do is just pull a post-it note, double click on it. There are stacks of post-it notes here, double click on it, and you can actually type your question, thought, and idea that you want to ask. You could also go around this mind map that I created and add your post-it notes here. So for example, here is a question: what is actually an unfair advantage that Ashely was talking about? And all her thoughts about, do you have a product really unique? What is the product category? What is the brand? So I try to capture all the conversation in the mind map. That is one of the ways we can actually create knowledge together at the real time, right?
All right, fantastic. So let's go back to us. Thank you very much, Eva. It's been really. I mean, I'm very curious because what Eva does, she's really capable to understand the mind behind the people involved. Catch their thoughts, connect the link to either an answer or to another thoughts from someone else, and make things happen on a teamwork. She's a very professional in this, and I know that she's. Without her, I wasn't going to even start this experiment of mine, because I wanted to give added value. So every session we had online with the other guest and you, of course, and the next one to come, probably, we have a mind map of what we discussed, and it's a good ground for starting a China business plan. And this is very, very important. Thank you, Eva, again. We will get back to you later. Okay, let me see. We got okay, no, yeah, there is another message. This is from Sophia. It is always a pleasure to attend the conference with professionals with rare expertise like yours. Thank you, Sophia. I really thank you very much. Good. I'd like to go further a little bit, Ashely. It's so rare to have you available for such a long time and without anybody calling in. So I just want to use the time right. Okay. Ashely, I have attended few of your conventions. I saw you in Singapore. As I said, I saw you in London and Prague. And every time I came out with a book of notes and everything. Okay, but one question: are you having a course for anybody to follow? Is there a platform that can be shared?
Absolutely. So we have a lot of video courses about Chinese consumers, and also about live streaming, about e-commerce, about digital marketing. So there are video courses for those interested to learn more. And there are also certificate courses. So we actually had a lot of students that are coming in to learn, or the ones that are right now, for example, moving into China for regional roles, and they're also kind of students of life to understand, how China works, or somebody who is right now in the marketing profession, in e-commerce profession, and they want to bring in a bit more expertise from Asia into their role as well.
Okay, can I share with the public the link for the course?
Absolutely, go ahead, Alberto.
Right.
Thank you.
And let me see if it went. I think it went. No, maybe not. Let me hold it, because I do have a problem. But anyway, I'll share it later. I will send an email to everybody. Ashely, another things I'd like to ask you. Okay, in terms of choosing a customers for you, because obviously you receive a lot of inquiry from many companies. Okay, are you so straight and go like, okay, are you doing 50 million revenue? Because if it is less, I'm not gonna even listen to you. Or are you case by case analyzing the potentials and get empathetic to the clients?
Right. So I've been in business long enough to understand that every company needs to have a ladder offer, which means you need to have an offer for somebody who is a small consultant, somebody who's just not sure whether China is for them. You need to have an offer, a product for somebody who is somewhere in the middle, mid-sized company, and you need to have an offer for somebody who's a big conglomerate. And for us, we actually have offer for everybody who is interested in China one way or another. So it can be a China watcher, like a consultant that is consulting, other businesses in their home country, for instance, about China, or a professional that just is trying to figure out how to do their new role better. And of course, we work with some mid-sized companies that have completely different needs. For example, they need consulting. They need somebody to sit and answer their specific questions based on research, based on expertise, to guide them. But they don't have enough money to commit to, let's say, market research or strategy or something like that, grant, right? And of course, we work with much, much bigger companies that want somebody to do professional content, because our superpower on the digital marketing agency side is content. We create great content, which is not only text for China market, but also videos. And right now, videos are the language of young generation. And of course, it's a completely different skill set that you need to tell those stories through videos in a fun way on Kuaishou and Douyin. So these companies, of course, big ones that are willing to commit to do, let's say, Douyin right, or to do Weibo right, or to do WeChat right, they need to commit a lot of budgets, not only to create content, but also to advertise it out and, manage campaigns, etc., etc. So we also have offering for them. Or for example, they are super big firms like Coca-Cola's of this world. They have 25 agencies. They don't need another agency to do content for them. But what they do need is training their internal team to stay on top of these changes so they can make more educated decisions. So to answer your question, do we look at clients and say, hey, do you make 50 million globally? No, we don't, but we always have a tailored approach. If the person came to us, we feel the responsibility to guide them to some solution. And it can be a free video vlog that I run on a daily basis. And, they don't have money. They just have a question and they want it answered. And we produce so much reports and insights on LinkedIn and YouTube videos and many, many other things where people can go and just get that information for free. Or somebody who has a more tailored question, they can go and book a consultation. If somebody's interested in insights from China, they can go and learn from our, CMC Insights group, which is weekly tailored special insights, right, and reports and consumer profiles, etc. And I think that is very, very important. If somebody came to you for help, I believe it's your responsibility to help them one way or another. And it might be through service, or it might be through blog. Direct them to a blog, direct them to a free resource.
Absolutely. This is what I do. I share knowledge and I give out a lot of information. And for the real serious one, I created a masterclass that I deliver either online or on site. I used to do that on site with the big universities, to collect these things. And I was, they were so interested also for university students who are sinologists to study the literature and everything. They speak the language. They lived in China for several months, if not years. But then they come back to the West and they go like, yeah, I've learned so much, but I've got nothing about the business. And the business is what gives me food, what pays my bill and everything. So I need to learn more. And what I did in terms of understanding the knowledge, I called my course China Business Strategy. And the China Business Strategy course is not much about the numbers behind, which are obviously there, but is how to read those numbers, what's behind those numbers, the mindset, the psychology of the Chinese consumers, why they tell you something when they think another things, the difference between our linear communication, linear logic, and their circular logic, and their way to say yes while they mean no, and never say no in any possible case, and the old things that goes behind the may or want the no problem issues. Okay, so this is the very basic that I really transfer to my clients and to my attendees for the courses, because if I don't get that, there is not going to be any marketing approach that will win in China, because it will always misposition it. It will always, skip the center, skip the goal. It's just like the 3 penalty kicks from the UK teams, the last 3. Sorry about that. If any UK guys I love you anyway.
I think you're going to start a war right now, Alberto. You're going to start a war. I know there's a lot of British people are very sensitive about their football.
Anyway, okay, I got a message from someone who I'm pretty sure okay. This is Leonardo, okay? We are following your super interesting webinars. You rock. Hello, Ashely. Hello, Hiva. Thank you very much, Leonardo. And then we got another comments from Thierry. Thanks for your straight interview. Thank you, Thierry, for following us. I really appreciate it. And then we got, oh yes, I was able to share the link. Okay, so this is the link for Ashely course. It's just click on the link. It's in the comment on both Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. You should have it. And then there is another comment here from Davide. Says, I confirm about the quality of Ashely free content, reports, and on the PR crisis is very informative. Thank you very much, Davide. And then we got Catherine. I think we know Catherine, both of them. Hello, Catherine. Okay, too many European companies get caught up in are the figures correct? Absolutely. Instead of analyzing the steps to take as a consequences. Okay, and then she goes like, stop, Alberto, no football. I never meant to talk about football, okay? It's just a different, I would have loved to have Arnold Ma with us today, the day after, because Arnold and I, we talk about soccer sometimes. But I will have on our screen very soon. Okay, so what is the last tip, based on your experience, you'd like to tell to the newcomers? Because this is, I think that we always talk about business to people who knows already much about China. And so we go dig down into details. Instead, I think there is still a very big ignorance about, but by the Latin meanings of ignorance, that means they ignore what the reality is, okay? So what is another tip you'd like to share with us, Ashely?
Well, as you talk about ignorance, I would say that compared to what we had before, and this is my very subjective view, I think that there are some gaps, but it's definitely becoming better. So it's bad, but it's much better right now. I would say, the brands that want to go to China right now, obviously they focus on business. And as Catherine has mentioned, yes, you want to look at the numbers and focus on figures, but at the same time, you need to understand it much deeper. And I just would like to recommend everybody, if you have not read this book, I would like to recommend you to read a certain book, which is called China Story. And it has been written by a gentleman called Michael Wood. And let me just make it appear on the screen so you can see over here. Okay. So it's called China Story. And I believe that anybody who is doing business in China, with China, phantoms to understand this culture, these consumers, and has some opinion about what China is or China is not, I believe it's very important to recount the 5,000 years history that China has had up until today. And, put what you are doing right now and where the world right now is into perspective. So my advice, the final one, would be pick up. I personally like this book because it's written through stories. Of course, there are many other very academic books about the history of China. And again, I probably am the last person to recommend you that because I'm not a sinologist. As mentioned, I have not studied Chinese culture, as a subject. I learned by doing, and I learned and taught myself. And of course, by working in the market. So I'm on the business side. I don't claim any titles to be a China professional when it comes to culture, language, etc., etc. But this is the book, and it will give you that perspective. You will be able to see the dots, and also once you act in the market, you will be able to connect the dots. If you haven't read it yet, get it. And this is not a sponsored post. So Michael Wood is not paying me to promote his book and his work. It is a wonderful work of art.
Fantastic. We got the last 5 minutes to spare together. Eva, you're with us. Okay. Is there anything coming up? Did anybody add anything on the board?
Nope, no add-ons on the board. So it's really new concept, and that is perfectly fine. We are testing it out to see how people are going to react. We are a long way from there. So I belong to this community of virtual facilitators where we have these highly interactive workshops with people who are already familiar with the tool. So I believe this is just a tool hurdle, and in time people are going to get used to it. We can also offer training just for the tool and actually creating knowledge online in real time down the road. So that's actually what I'm doing and what is core of my training and my courses. And so down the road, we're going to have more of this. But I do have a question for Ashely regarding China, because
go ahead.
Myself also have a story. I personally went to China for Kung Fu, as you said, Ashely, long time ago, 16 years ago. So I am familiar with life here, and I've studied in Chinese university myself as well. And I've been thinking about, you're doing business in China. That is one point. But what about Chinese consumers coming out in Europe? So specific would be, for example, I'm coming from Croatia, which is now very popular summer holiday, summer destination. What would someone in Croatia need to do to bring their Chinese customers over there?
Well, for the next 2.5 years, unfortunately, nothing you can do apart from setting up your online store, and like many museums, like British museums and Heritage Museum, Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg, etc., start selling some merchandise which is themed to your, kind of country style and, let's say, offering style. So there's very little you can do, because for the next 2.5 years, China is definitely not going to travel because of the current situation. And in fact, the official announcement has been made maybe 3 weeks ago or so that China mainland itself will likely open for kind of business, for travel, end of 22. So this is very, very clear right now.
Yeah,
so what
I heard it as well from official channels, but not before the end of 2022. So I put my heart in peace, and I won't have any Chinese food, any real Chinese food, before 2023, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the situation. But when the travel returns, I think that you need to understand which category you are in. If you are in the category of let's say hospitality, so essentially hotels, restaurants, and entertainment, then a lot of surprises await you. China has digitalized like crazy in this area in the past year, and COVID has been very good and very healthy for domestic tourism. So we have digital queues, we have digital reconstruction of terracotta warriors. We just have really cool stuff happening. And when they go back to Europe, it will be more like going back in time and, visiting Disneyland all over again. But Disneyland looks like a really, really thematic introduction into the Middle Ages. So I think that there is charm in that. So staying true to your culture. Let's say in Croatia as well, I've traveled the country. There are beautiful coastal cities. There is beautiful scenery that cannot be replicated. So keeping the thematic approach and stand and view would be very, very important, because we cannot so quickly go into the whole digital side of things. But for everybody else who is, for example, in retail, in travel retail, I think it will be very, very important to introduce your new lines, new products, make sure that you interest customers again, because they will be back and they will be excited to learn. So what has happened in the rest of the world? Well, I was, in the country, and of course, a lot of things are coming to me, but I would like to explore something very local and very niche and very cool. And finally, everybody, doesn't matter whether it's hospitality or travel retail, will definitely need to work on their customer service, because the expectations in the market right now continue increasing, and the standard is only raising. In China, because domestic tourism, as I said, is dominating the playing field. And in the rest of the world, we are already lagging. So imagine in a year or two from now how much lagging we are going to really be. So make sure that you understand what exactly are they looking for. Are they looking for speed? Are they looking for really heartfelt kind of interest in them as people? What is that standard that they're looking for from a particular country? For example, in France, when you're doing luxury shopping, what Chinese really enjoy is long conversation about the story of a certain brand, and somebody really serving them tea and coffee and talking about their family and friends. They really enjoy that. So that's what they are looking for, right? So when they go to Croatia and they're purchasing, I do not know, oysters in a fresh market, what it is they're looking for, right? And then give them what they want. Chinese consumers are going to travel. Nothing has changed. They're excited and interested in the world. They will have the money, the power, the interest, and the time as well to realize those things. We just need to wait until world somehow normalizes, and this is possible again.
Thank you very much.
Ashely.
Thank you very much, Ashely. Okay, I think the time has come to an end. It was, yeah, I really love these pictures being in between two beautiful ladies. I always love it. And I want to say goodbye to everybody with these beautiful visions of you two girls. And why not talking again in, let's say, 6 months to see what's going on, if anything has changed, and if we can bring something new. Okay. Ashely, I really love to meet you again in live and take you out for dinner as we did in the past. Eva, thank you so much for your incredible support. I look forward to more evolving situations. Let's talk soon to each other. Thank you very much, everybody. Love you.
Thank you so much, Alberto, for moderating and having me on the show. Thank you, Eva. And guys, thanks very much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.